Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. Also, happy Pride! I have but a paltry collection of little pride flags. I really need to expand it so I can get more than just the basic rainbow flag. But I'm here today to talk to you about a very exciting readathon that is coming up very soon, and that is the Queer Blackathon. This is another round of the Blackathon, which is hosted by Jessie from Bowties and Books, and joining them as new hosts are Myonna from Myonna Reads, and also Lauryn from the Novel Lush. And the three of them have gotten together to do a 48-hour readathon that is beginning on Juneteenth, which is June 19th. And if you don't know the importance of Juneteenth, please look it up, because I have been telling you in all of my past videos to look it up. And if you have looked it up already, let's see. I'm going to be testing you. If you've looked it up, leave me a fact about it in the comments below so that I know for sure that you know what it is, because it's very important. Anyways, this is going to be a 48-hour readathon that centers books that are by and about Black, queer, and trans folks, because without them we wouldn't have Pride. Okay, so I am going to give you a little list of books that I will be selecting from as part of my TBR. I'm probably not going to get all of these read because I am no good at readathons that are shorter than a week. Usually the only one that I do with any regularity is one that's dedicated to comics and graphic novels, which are really short. So I'm going to go through the Libby app on my phone and tell you about some of the books that I might be choosing from for this 48-hour readathon. And then I'm going to go through and give you some recommendations for other books that are by queer Black authors or have a lot of Black queer characters in them to help you build your TBR as well. So let us open Libby. Books that I haven't read yet that I could include for this readathon. Okay, so one that I'm definitely going to start is the audiobook of All Boys Aren't Blue, which is called a memoir manifesto, and that is by George M. Johnson, who identifies as gender nonconforming, and that is also the pick for the NB Book Club this month. I have been on the waiting list for this forever at my library, and I have been dying to read it ever since I first heard Jessie talk about it on their channel. So I cannot wait for that. I definitely am going to start that. I also have the audiobook of Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender, and this is about a Black trans boy and written by a Black non-binary author. This is also a YA book that took me in with its totally gorgeous cover. I know a lot of people on BookTube have read it and they've been really enjoying it, so I might start that. I don't tend to do well with multiple audiobooks going at once though, so we'll see how that works. I think the book that I have for Kindle that I might want to read is Don't Call Us Dead by Danez Smith. And Danez is a non-binary Black author. Also wrote Homie, which was an NB Book Club pick earlier this year, which again, I didn't get the chance to read because I was on the library waiting list for it for forever, and then my library closed because of the pandemic and they don't have it as an ebook. But I figured why not go back and take this as an opportunity to read Danez's earlier book. Let me see. What else do I have? Oh, okay. I also have the Kindle book of Freshwater by Akweke Emezi, who is a non-binary Black author as well. They are also the author of Pet, which is the greatest book that I have read all year. It is a very short speculative fiction novel about a young Black trans girl named Jam, and it is the perfect book to read for anyone that thinks it couldn't happen here. I think that that is absolutely essential reading for everybody. I highly encourage all of you to go out and read it because it is a fantastic novel, and I am really excited to read everything else that Akweke Emezi has written because I really like them. I really like them a lot. Okay, I think that's it for all of the queer Black books that I have on my Libby account right now, so I will be picking from those, I think, 4 books when it comes time for the actual 48-hour readathon. But let's go ahead and talk about some other books that you might consider picking up if you're interested. So this next one here is called The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. I heard about this over on Injeri's channel because she mentioned that all of the girls were named after different flowers that have witchy correspondences, and I was like, okay, well, you already had me at these sort of Weird West alternate historical fiction setting, but then like learning that just made me really want to read this book, and I'm almost done with it. I have about half an hour left in the audiobook, and it's really good. I would highly recommend it for anybody that is interested in the setting of the Weird West. It has a majority Black cast. The audiobook is also narrated by a Black narrator, which is something that like I don't think I was consciously thinking about too much, but like the importance of having books that center Black stories be narrated by Black people is very important. So now I'm more conscious of that. I am trying to make sure that when I listen to those audiobooks that they have Black narrators as well. It is really good. It does contain some content warnings because all of the girls and women in the book are escaping from a human trafficking situation, and so they are going like on the run from the place where they have been trafficked, and they are basically becoming outlaws, but as a way of like freeing themselves from this racist tyranny that exists in the world where they are, and they are trying to do their best as they go along to also protect and help other people that are trapped in this system escape to safety. So I'm really enjoying. I'm gonna go through the rest of these pretty quickly because this is meant to be a little bit more of a rapid fire recommendations, and most of these books that I'm recommending, actually all of them here, I have already read and talked about on my channel in some way, so I'm gonna go through them pretty quickly. First of all, we have An Unkindness of Ghosts and The Deep. Both of these are by Rivers Solomon. Both of these books feature Black characters, Black queer characters, and trans characters. The author himself is trans and intersex, and also autistic. So there's great disability representation also in both of these books. These do deal a little bit more with the heavier side of things like racism and intergenerational trauma and such, but I highly recommend them. Again, it's tough because I'm having to recommend just what I have on my shelves right now of what I have unpacked, but I also highly recommend books by Nalo Hopkinson, who is a queer Jamaican Black author. This is Midnight Robber here. This is the first book of hers that I have read, and I think it is my favorite. It is all about the power of stories and storytelling. This does come with a content warning, however, for incest and sexual abuse, but I highly recommend Nalo Hopkinson. She's also written lots of comics. She is like part of the canonical Sandman universe now, and really enjoy her work. Coming in with an old favorite from the Disability Readathon, I have this essay collection, which is called The Pretty One on Life, Pop Culture, Disability, and Other Reasons to Fall in Love with Me, which is by Kia Brown. She is a bisexual Black woman, the creator of the hashtag Disabled and Cute, and a great Twitter follow as well. Kia is fantastic. I read this originally for the Disability Readathon, first one that we had back in 2019, and I would highly recommend it to everyone here. This is the only N.K. Jemisin book that I actually own because I started reading her when I was getting them from the library originally before I had enough money to buy hardcovers. So here's The City We Became, which is N.K. Jemisin's newest novel. I don't know what her identity is as far as sexuality or gender goes, but I do know that all of her books center like Black queer relationships, and she writes science fiction, fantasy, speculative, all under that like umbrella of speculative fiction that centers a lot of Black queer stories, so I don't doubt that those will be in The City We Became. The other series of hers that I have read is The Broken Earth, which is the 5th season, The Obelisk Gate, and The Stone Sky? Yeah, The Stone Sky. And that also features some queer relationships, polyamorous relationships, trans characters, all that kind of thing. And yeah, she's fantastic. If you haven't read her yet, go out and read her. She's amazing. And then we're going to get into a couple of comics, but before that, I also would highly recommend that if you're interested, you go and check out the Uncanny Magazine issues, Queer People Destroy Science Fiction and Fantasy, and also Disabled People Destroy Science Fiction and Fantasy, because there are a lot of Black authors that are queer and many Black authors that are queer and disabled that are featured in those. I know that like the publishing industry is traditionally more hostile to you the more multiply marginalized you are, but I think Uncanny is really doing some fabulous work to try and highlight voices that the big 5 of publishing companies traditionally overlook a lot. So please go check that out. A lot of these authors have since gone on to publish novels, and so if you read a short story in one of those collections by an author that you like, you'll probably be able to find that they've published something else that you want to read. Okay, and then we have a couple of comics. Not all of these are written by Black authors, but they do all feature Black queer characters in some way. First up is the spotlight here for Power and Magic Press. This is actually a witchy comics press that is owned and operated by a Black woman, and this press releases lots of comic anthologies that have to do with witchy women and queer women and trans people, etc. This is the Immortal Souls anthology, edited by Joe Gill, who I believe is also the founder of the press, and there's a couple other different books that this press have put out. So really great comics anthology, very racially diverse, very diverse in terms of sexuality and gender identities represented within. Okay, then we have Misfit City, which is a 2-part limited comic series that is about a group of girls living somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and there is a queer Black girl who is a character in this. This is perfect if you are a fan of those like sort of classic adventure movies from the 80s like The Goonies. This draws very heavily upon The Goonies because these girls live in a place where a bunch of tourists always come to, and they're like looking for this secret pirate cave or whatever that nobody thinks is real, but then the girls end up stumbling upon the entrance to it and having an adventure from there. Okay, we also have The Backstagers, which again is another very diverse in terms of racial representation and gender and sexuality representation, about a group of boys who are theater techs at an all-boys boarding school, and they discover that the backstage of the theater where they are techs at contains portals that lead to a different magical world that is based off of the theater. We also have Heavy Vinyl, which in some places is published under the name Hi-Fi Fight Club. This is about a group of 4 girls, all of whom are queer, that have a secret fight club that exists underneath a record store where they all work. It's fantastic, it is feminist as fuck, and I really recommend. We also have Motor Crush, which I know Jessie talked about in their recommendation video. I picked this up because I was most interested in the art. But this is the story of Domino, who is a young queer Black motorcycle racer. So in this world, this is a sort of sci-fi world in which car racing and motorcycle racing is a really big part of life and the economy, and Domino really wants to be a racer, but she has like a disability that can negatively impact her ability to race safely. So this has like badass disability rep, queer representation, there's fat representation on the page. I can't wait for volume 3 of this to come out. I'm pretty sure that when I made my queer comics recommendations video, I said that, even though that was a year ago, it still stands. Please, 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 can we get volume 3 of Motor Crush very soon? What? And then the last thing that I have to recommend to you is Moonstruck. Now this is a really adorable sort of soft urban fantasy comic that has lots of queer characters, lots of trans characters, and a Black character who is one of the main protagonists. It is the story of 2 girls, one of whom is a werewolf that is falling in love. Together, they have a friend who is a non-binary centaur barista at the local coffee shop. I think this is like if a coffee shop AU type story was a fully recognized and fully realized world in and of itself, and it just gives you all of the sweet, cozy, witchy, and friendship vibes. I cannot recommend Moonstruck enough. I don't know if they're going to be coming out with a 3rd volume of this. I think it kind of went on hiatus for a while, and I'm not sure if it's coming back, but the first 2 volumes are absolutely fantastic, and I can't recommend those enough. Those are all of the queer Black books that I have to tell you about right now. Please don't take this as an exhaustive list. Use it as a springboard to help you go off and find more and amazing books that are queer by Black authors and about Black characters. And I will see you all when we do the Queer Blackathon coming right up. I am very excited. If you will be participating in this, please let me know down below. Also, if you have any books that are queer and Black to recommend, please leave me a notification in the comments as well, because I really like the comments when we make them a resource sharing space and when we can all benefit from getting some good recommendations from that. So if you liked this video and you'd like to see more of what I do, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because that is the best way to get updated every time I post a new video. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!